Good morning from the recliner. As watching some of this practice footage, two schools 90 miles apart, give or take a few feet. And some might argue that there's been kind of a Grand Canyon between the two. Same conference, Mississippi State, Alabama, Starkville, Tuscaloosa. And it's interesting, you look at the two situations. Alabama, same coaching staff, same players, same quarterback, adding in a freshman, all that kind of stuff. Totally different situation versus 90 miles apart. Mississippi State, new coach, new system, new defensive coordinator, new quarterback, all brand new. But first, there was a really good comment on yesterday's YouTube video. You know, I said on yesterday's video that I really liked practice. I looked forward to it. And when practice starts, I get revved up. I really want to see it. And CPD Gamer commented on that video and said, "You like practice because you're a quarterback." Quarterbacks and kickers were the only ones you couldn't hit. And I was thinking, yeah, I guess he's right. Now, it wasn't that way in high school. In high school, we got hit, had to go through tackling drills just like everybody else. But yeah, in college, they put a different color jersey on you. When I was in college, for us, they put us in a bright red jersey. You know, I noticed at Mississippi State now they put them in bright green ones. At Alabama, they put them in black ones, which I think is pretty cool. Put them in a black jersey, but still, we all know what that means, right? It's, hey, hands off. Don't touch a quarterback. So, CPD Gamer, you got a good point. There's inherently, quarterbacks are going to like practice a lot more than the offensive linemen do, especially this time of year when it's blooming hot, right? Okay, first up, quarterbacks. At Alabama, you got Mac Jones, and the incumbent starter, and then Bryce Young, this new guy. Notice in the practice footage, you got Mac Jones wearing number 10, you got Bryce Young wearing number 9. You watch Bryce Young's high school footage, he's the same size as Tua and plays and looks like a right-handed Tua. Incredible talent, incredible. And he'll put the pressure on Mac Jones like immediately. But, you know, right now, just kind of everything I see is watching some of the press conference with Mac Jones and watching him operate in practice. And even just little things, you can tell he's a little older, a little more confident. Maybe throws the ball a little more confidently right now. Now, you're just going through drills in your shorts, so what really matters is when you put on pads and you start getting hit and putting drives together and that kind of thing. I do think that if Bryce Young had had a full spring to go ahead and get acclimated and begin to throw the ball, and then you come into fall camp, he'd be much farther along than he is right now, and he'd be much closer to pushing Mac Jones and maybe taking over. Everybody with his talent and his ability can see you could have a situation one day where, you know, let's say somebody gets hurt in front of him and he gets in for a few snaps and then it's hard to get him off the field because he's that good. But for right now, it looks like Mac Jones is in charge. And the thing is, Jones is a big-time prospect too, and you know, a heck of a player. And he showed that some last year, a few mistakes. And I felt like the one thing that Mac Jones really could improve on from last year to this that's pretty obvious is the deep ball accuracy. You know, he missed some deep balls, underthrew some, but he also hit some. And, you know, if he could really dial in that connection, kind of from one year to the next, the way Joe Burrow did at LSU, from his junior year to his last, or from junior to senior year, where he made this huge jump in his continuity in the deep ball passing game. Like, he did not miss them. And that's just from putting in the work and throwing a million passes to your guys in the offseason. And so then 90 miles up the road at Mississippi State, same conference, you got new coach, new system, new quarterback, KJ Costello. And just watching him, big, tall, strong, like physically exactly what you want. A little better than 6'5", right at about 230 pounds, excellent athlete, big arm, really accurate with the ball. Good release too. You know, he drops it down a little bit. It's not the tightest release, and that coming out of his ear, you know, he drops it down a little bit, but he gets a lot on it. And the biggest thing is he's just accurate with the football. There was a Mike Leach comment. The question for Mike Leach was, where are you on day one at Mississippi State? compared to where you were day one of your first fall at Texas Tech and day one of your first fall at Washington State? How do those compare?
I think we're a little further along athletically. I think that, yeah, we're a little further behind. You know, we had good effort. I thought we bounced around. I thought that we were aggressive and explosive, but, you know, we waste too many steps. We're not as precise as I'd like it to be in technique, but, you know, we just got to keep working at it.
And as far as, you know, just early on, leading up to the first practice and then having a couple of practices on your belt, he had a question about KJ Costello. Like, where is he? How's he doing this early in practice?
I would say a work in progress, although I would say that really about all of them. I think that KJ's experience, I think, helps him some. And then and he's still, you know, yeah, everybody knows each other's name and whatnot. But as far as KJ being in tune with this guy goes here, that guy goes there. And it's been a little tough because we've repped an awful lot of receivers. But I think he does a really good job of taking charge of the huddle. I think he does a good job of, you know, knowing the offense on the run. And I've been pleased with him, but still we got a ways to go.
You know, the other thing about those two schools too, on the defensive side, you know, all these guys returning at Alabama, you know, a bunch of young guys too. I mean, they replace a lot every year because a bunch go to the NFL. But you got Golding back as your defensive coordinator. He's familiar with the players. They're familiar with him. They know how they're going to run practice. And he seems pretty confident, you know, obviously about his group of players.
I think we're way ahead from a mental standpoint than we've ever been. And then it's been nice in that summer. It was different, you know, having those 10 days to be able to get with those guys like a mini camp before camp started. So our standards aren't going to change. Our expectations aren't going to change just because we didn't have spring ball. We obviously have a chip on our shoulder. We know the tradition of defense here. We know the expectation here, and we're ready to live up to it.
And then 90 miles up the road in Starkville, brand new defensive coordinator, Zach Arnett, young guy, comes from San Diego State. He comes out of the Rocky Long Tree where he had a lot of success out there at San Diego State, but new guy, new system, going to run a 3-3-5, working the personnel into the slots where they're going to be and trying to figure all that out.
We don't even think about the fact that there was no spring practice because that's just a waste of time, a distraction from doing what we should do, which is, you know, we got 25 practices to get ready for the season opener. That's the way it is.
You know, didn't have a spring, so at State, new coordinator, new system. They're learning new players, going through practice for the first time. And so the first few practices, they're learning how he wants to do it.
We're trying to install as much as we can right now and see what we pick up on and execute well. You know, nothing's good if you don't execute it well. And if you can run two schemes, but you execute them better than your opponents, then that's all you should do. So, you know, as we get through this thing, we get closer to the game planning process and actually getting ready for the first game. We'll have to make some decisions on how much can we actually carry into a game week. How much of the package can they actually, you know, feel confident about executing?
I love it when practice begins and the guys start talking. The footage starts coming out. You can kind of see what people look like. Put those non-contact jerseys on the quarterbacks and let's roll. And yeah, from Starkville, I can jump in my car. In about an hour, I can be at Alabama's practice if they would let me in. And right now, it's two totally different worlds. Everything's back, everything's the same at one place, and everything's brand new at the other.